What's up, Brian? You happy to be here?
Of course I am. Of course I
Yeah?
am. Always happy to talk to comic creators.
You're getting better at being ready for when is Robbie gonna stop the music
you.
or whatever, right? Yeah, you're getting
Thank
better.
you.
You're
I
better
didn't even
than
try
me.
that time.
Yeah, you didn't
I
even
didn't
try.
even try. No.
I almost brought us in when I was mid drink for some reason, and then I was like, "Whoa, Robbie, that's a novice thing to do." All right, so let's get this out of the way. We got another pair of comic creators here to chat, but let's just get it out of the way. I hate, or let's just say, at one point in my life, I hated the character of Harley Quinn. Okay, absolutely despised her. Right? I had no problem with her in the animated series. I had no problem when Carl Kiesel and the Dotsons did the solo series, right? In the early 2000s, late 90s or something. But then all of a sudden, Harley just kind of became Marvel's Deadpool, right?
Right,
And
exactly.
you know how I feel about Deadpool, right?
Yes,
And
I
so,
feel very similar.
right, I just felt that way. And then I read this series of books, Batman White Knight stuff, and I read the first one. I liked it. I read Curse of the White Knight. I liked it. But when we got to that Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn, I remember being on my show being like, y'all, I'm becoming a Harley Quinn fan with this book. So let's bring in the creator responsible for that. How about that? Sound good, Brian?
Sounds great, yeah.
All right. So let's welcome, with a mighty warm station and a pop, pop, boom, into this room, the writer, a prolific writer, the best-selling author, Katana Collins. What is up?
Hi. What did you say? Pop, pop, boom?
Pop,
I
pop,
like
boom. Yeah, that's one of the things I like to say around here for some reason. I don't know why.
I
One
like
drunken night, it just stuck with me, and
it.
I decided I'd make it a thing, and I think we have. So
I think it's become a thing. I like it. I like being introduced that way. I feel like from now on, I better be introduced with the pop, pop, boom in there.
I hope so.
Exactly.
And if they introduce you with the pop, pop, boom, they owe us at least a quarter.
Sure.
Right?
TM.
Yeah. So there you
Yeah.
go. All right. Well, you got a new book from our friends at Dynamite, Cherish,
I
right?
do.
So not only have you turned me into a Harley Quinn fan, but now you got a new book. This is something cool. And you're editor on that book. And we never bring editors onto this show because who cares about editors? However, this editor's our friend. So let's bring in Joe Corallo. What is up, my man?
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
Reading Cherish. I like that.
Reading the book.
Editing on the fly,
man,
right?
I made a mistake here. What was like? Joe, thank you for being here, bud.
Yeah, no problem. No, this is fun. I'm happy to talk about Cherish and all the great work that Katana's doing.
Hell yeah, sounds good. So the first thing I want to ask you, Katana, is apparently like a year and a couple months ago, you were on the show with Perch and Joe, right?
Yes.
So I've listened to that interview, and you said you really wanted to work with Zatanna. Holy cow. Like, can we get that going, please? Because that's like my favorite DC character outside of Aquaman.
I know, she's so great. I mean, you know, it's a slow process with any of these pitch ideas, and we'll see. I mean, but I also feel like the branding on this is perfect, right? Katana on Zatanna.
Hey, I like that.
Can't miss. Can't miss.
Get any better.
Yeah.
I really like that. All right, so you came in and you have a whole career doing novels. Like you've written so many novels, bestsellers.
Yeah.
You write a lot of romance novels.
Yes,
right?
almost exclusively, I would say.
Okay. How's that working out for you?
It's great. One of my books went on the USA Today bestseller list this past year, so that's super, super exciting. And you know, like romance is a great genre. It's what I grew up reading. I used to like. I'm sure my mother knew, but in my head, she had no idea that I was like sneaking her Harley Quinn books away. And I would like read them under my covers with a flashlight till God knows what time. I was always a night owl. And yeah, so I just kind of grew up reading these books. And as I got older, they got a little more risque in their content as I aged up.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say, I was noticing when I was looking at some of the stuff you'd worked on, some of it's labeled as erotic romance.
Yes, it is. Some of it.
There's nothing wrong with that. We're sex positive here at PCP.
Absolutely. Me too. Sex positive all the way.
Hell yeah. So is there like what was it when you jumped into comics and you did the Harley Quinn, and now you were a fan of Harley Quinn before you took on this gig, right?
Yes. Yeah, I was. I had been watching for a long time the animated series. Actually, Sean introduced me to Batman the Animated Series when we were just wee little babies in college. We used to watch it while eating our cereal on the weekends. And so he had kind of introduced me to that character and that how the whole kind of unique history of her, how she was created for this TV show, and that's pretty rare in this industry. And then, yeah, that was my gateway into Harley Quinn, and just kind of always connected to that. Ooh, I'm getting some feedback.
Uh-oh.
Mm.
Sounds good now.
Okay.
All right. What are the differences between writing novels and comics?
Oh, how much time do we have? Poor Joe as my editor. So it's very, when you're writing a novel, you have to describe everything. Everything is based on your words, and you have to set the scene. You have to describe the smells in the air. You have to describe the way the moon looks and the positions of people. And when you write a comic, I think one of the first kind of rookie mistakes that I made with writing my first ever comic book was I just used too many words, and I probably still do to this day, but it's gotten better. Like, I don't use as many words as I used to, even though, Joe, I'm not looking at your face as I say this, because he always has to pare down what I'm writing. But, you don't have to actually write in your prose how beautiful the moon looks. It's you kind of get to collaborate with your artist, and you give that to them to show how beautiful the moon looks. And that's just one like kind of terrible example, but the sentiment is there, right? Like, you don't have to describe every little thing. You just have to convey sort of the mood that you want your artist to help you bring to life.
Yeah.
And releasing yourself of that burden as well. Like, in a way, you have to not take full ownership of what it looks like, because I'm the first to say, like, I'm not a visual artist. It's very hard for me as I'm writing a comic book to like imagine what it will look like. And every time I try to picture what it'll look like, it's always wrong. It comes back better than what I imagine anyway. So I've since learned that it's really better for me just to kind of set the stage and think of it as if I'm writing a play. And like with, a play is like a very big collaboration, or even a screenplay movie, you could say, where you're writing down what you kind of want it to look like. But at the end of the day, it's like also up to the cinematographer, or it's also up to your actors or your stage manager or your prop person. Yeah. And it is better for that.
Yeah. It's an absolute collaborative process, right?
Yeah. And prose is very not, for me at least. Like, it's very me in my room chonking out that book till it's done, and that's it. Like, I don't really answer to anyone when it's my romance book.
Yeah. And you got to be very descriptive. You got to bring, I remember, like, I love writing scripts. I love writing dialogue, but I don't like doing any of that kind of descriptive kind of stuff, right? And they're always like, well, you got to explain, like, when someone walks into a room in a novel, like how things feel, how it looks, what it smells like. You gotta explain all this, and you don't have to do that in a comic script unless you're Alan Moore or Neil Gaiman.
Some people do it beautifully in comics. I don't think I'm one of those people. In fact, I love that I don't have to. It was very freeing to know that, like, oh my gosh, I don't have to like spend a whole page on the setting of where we are.
Yeah.
That's up to someone else, really. Like, I can tell them where they are, but what that looks like in my mind's eye, I don't have to be as descriptive.
And then in my opinion, to get somebody like Matteo Scalera to do one of your first comics, I mean, that's such a bonus. He's such a great visual artist. I've gotten to meet him before. He's a cool dude too, but his art blows my mind. I love it so much. And it was one of the things that really appealed to me about that Harley Quinn book. And then the characterization, just like I mentioned in the intro, you turned me into a Harley Quinn fan. I thought that was impossible, yo. You're like a Ryan Reynolds.
never really liked Harley? Never in your career of reading comics?
Well, I mean, I liked her in, the animated series. I didn't mind her. I actually really liked her in the animated series. But in the animated series, you got a lot of other stuff to go with.
Yes,
But
that's true.
it was just that, like, when she got introduced to the DC universe in the comics, I didn't mind that either. It was fine. But then all of a sudden, it just felt like she became a Deadpool type character. You know what I'm saying? Like, just the whole point is just to be jokey, and there wasn't a lot of characterization that there outside of like Mad Love. There was no characterization for me in comics for Harleen until, because when your book was coming out, there was that Joker Harley Criminal Sanity book coming out.
Yeah.
And she's like a psychological, it's like a psychological thriller. Yeah. And I just was like, all of a sudden, I feel like DC's understanding like what they need to do with this character to like pull her away from that whole like, oh, she's just in love with the Joker. And that just never worked for me, because I felt like if she was a smart, intriguing character, she wouldn't be with the Joker for long. And the way y'all did that in the Harley Quinn book for White Knight, I thought that was the best. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, I kind of loved every iteration of her. I'd love some more than others, but I have an appreciation for all the different versions of Harley that have existed. And even like just as a creator prior to even creating comics, but like reading some of the books that, it's certainly not a direction I would have taken it, but I can definitely appreciate how cool and quirky and just different creators were trying to be with that character. And I mean, that goes for almost every character really within any of these worlds that have been created by the massive companies. But, and it's hard, man. It is hard to come up with uniquely familiar, like it needs to be different enough but also familiar enough, and it's a really tricky balance to strike.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Brian, what you got?
Well, yeah, I was thinking just a little bit back on the collaboration thing. After writing novels and directing all this stuff, I was wondering, how did it feel when you were first seeing like the artwork come back, like the line art and the colors? And
yeah, every time it's pretty surreal. The first time, like with the Harley Quinn stuff, it was, Mateo's art, we always sort of equate it to like, has a Don Bluth style. And because we leaned so much into the hyenas and sort of that loving relationship between the pets and the animal, or the pets and the babies and Harley, and it just really felt like a Don Bluth movie. And it was awesome seeing that come to life, and like, better than I could have ever imagined. And Cherish was sort of its own experience. Like, you would think that excitement would wear off after a while of seeing it come to life on the page, and it really hasn't for me. Every time art comes in, it's like a giddy experience of like, oh, that's what that nanotech looks like. Cool. Because again, I'm not visual in how I think. So even as I'm like trying to write some of this stuff, I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Gabriel, you tell me if we need to change this. And he always makes it work, which is phenomenal. Because if I don't even know how I would begin to draw some of that stuff.
I just want to interject real quick, because Katana's being a little too humble. Because she's saying this, but meanwhile, I'll send her like colored pages, and she'll look over them and be like, oh, well, we should really like this should look like this, and this, let's do this. And not an overwhelming amount, but there'll be like little things, every issue where it's like, oh, let's do this, let's switch this up. So like she's and she'll ask about things like, okay, we're gonna do a fight sequence, so like what can we do in this one that we didn't do in the last one? What's a weapon or a thing or like a sequence that will make this different from the other ones, and things like that? Like, she really is on top of a lot of those kind of things.
I mean, I think for me, fight scenes in most books are the most boring part. Like, I'm in it for the relationships. I'm in it for the spunky dialogue. So it's writing fight scenes is sometimes a very challenging piece of this puzzle for me. I know with Mateo, with Harley, I used to just say to him, like, you have 7 panels.
Do what you will.
So-and-so wins. Have fun. And he enjoyed that. Like, it was something that we had talked about prior to kind of getting the ball rolling with the script. And it was something that he was open to designing those fight sequences. And I think the only one that I actually wrote was the final one in the last issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of artists that are like, you know, I'm the artist. Like, you're the writer. You tell me what's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen on the page visually, right? And not every artist or every writer can do that. But Mateo's definitely someone that can do it. So let's get to Cherish, the current book from Dynamite. The first issue is out right now. I rather enjoyed it. I thought it was a cool new, like, badass vigilante character, right? In a genre filled with them. But this one kind of stands out for me. Obviously, I'm friends with Nick Barucci. I'm friends with Joe Corallo. So I wanted to check this out. When I saw your name attached, I got really excited because I love that Harley Quinn book so much. I really liked it. How did this project come about for you?
I don't actually, I feel like I just randomly got an email from Joe one day. Right? Like, I don't actually know the process of how they considered me or thought of me. I had done a little bit with Dynamite prior to this, which interestingly, that the book that I had written prior to this one isn't even out yet. I think it's coming out in 2023 sometime.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was kind of an odd, like, flip-flop of, like, that one was done, but then this one I started and it came out before the other one that I finished like months ago. So yeah, I'm actually not sure how my name got thrown into that ring. I assume it was Joe, but I don't know.
Well, Joe, how was
it? Yeah. You know, it was like, okay, well, you know, let's do something with this book. Who do you have in mind? And I have a short list of, like, I think these people could work. And it was, you know, and I believe Nick was just like, oh, you can get, you know, Katana, do that, talk to her. Let's go. And, you know, got that going. And yeah, worked out, you know.
It was fast too. It was like, the email came in and within, I want to say, a week or two, you guys wanted some sort of an outline. And then it was just like, great, when can you write the first issue? It was like, okay.
Yeah, we already had the artist. You know, I had been digging around and found the artist. And so it ended up being like, okay, well, let's get a writer then and let's go. So
who is the artist, Joe?
Gabriel. I apologize if I'm butchering the last name because I never, you know, really like said it on it, but Katana, you know, South American artist, fantastic. Was recommended to me by let's say Lucas Mayer, who is the illustrator on Eric Palicki's Black Box book, Ninja K or Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good book.
Yeah, because that book looked. I was like, this looks great. So I asked Eric. I was
artist?
like, hey,
I didn't even put that together. That's the same artist.
No, it's different artists, but Lucas recommended Gabriel to me because we were talking and he was busy with that and some other stuff, but he was like, I am good friends with this guy and I think he'd be a good fit. And I looked over his stuff and had him do some character concept art and it was great. And yeah, we're off to the races.
Nice. So this is a concept or a character that was kind of created by Mark Silvestri. But was it left up to y'all to just create this whole world?
I mean, there were things that were sort of given to us, like some parameters, but I would say they were fairly loose, right, Joe? Like we were able to create the world and they were very open to us sort of manipulating and like tweaking some things. And, you know, like I know one of the things that we talked about was really, and I think it's ambitious for a 5-issue run, but like really leaning into the relationships between everyone in the book. as well as the action and the revenge and the vigilante stuff. And it's a lot to get done per issue, but I think for me as a writer, that's what I need to be engaged and really love the story that I'm working on.
Yeah, and I think that works out. I think that's what makes a book like this stand out from some of the other books, and especially I love a dense comic. I like getting as much possible, like the most bang for my buck. I will always take a dense comic over something that's a little light and breezy that I'm dropping $4, $5, $6 on. Like, make it something, make it weighty. And I think what you Katana brought to the table is your background in like romance and all of that, because we're able to have a lot going on with that and interweaving it with some action stuff like that. And Katana would come to me for some of these things and be like, how are we going to cram like we need to do action, but there's this like relationship? And then I would have to be like, oh well, we'll just how about we do captions, and then there's fighting, so it's like we cover both, and like things like that to try to get everything in. But I think it all works pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you guys describe what to expect out of this book for anybody who hasn't checked it out? And I would recommend anybody check it out for sure.
Gosh, like describe like what they're gonna get when they open it, you mean? Like,
yeah, like what kind of book is it? What's the story? What are they gonna get? What's the pitch? Like if you're me at the shop trying to sell this book to someone, what do you tell them?
Oh, you're asking for an elevator pitch. Okay. Hold on.
I have to do it, so I want to hear how you would do it so I can do it correctly.
It's like the most challenging thing to have to do in the writing world is come up with that like 2-sentence like zinger.
You take as many sentences as you want.
Let's see. So it's at its core, as you said, it's a vigilante story. It's a revenge story from a girl who lost her father at a very young age. And I think what really stands out about it is how much heart it has at its core. And it's also got that sci-fi angle, which is not something I typically write. But yeah, we've got some like sci-fi, nanotech, cool weapons, really great fight scenes. And like the up and coming artist is just, as we've talked about, incredible. Gabriel is such a talent, such a rock star. Joe, do you have anything to add? Do you have a good?
No, I mean it's like a cyberpunk romance infused John Wick.
Oh, that's better. Go with that.
That's really good. Joe's good at the elevator pitch. No, that's awesome. It's a really cool book. Brian, you read it. You got any thoughts? Any questions?
Oh, yeah. I do want to say I loved it. Yeah, and I was excited for it because Joe mentioned he was editing this book, and so pulled it. And then so yeah, you were saying that it's challenging. So it's only going to be 5 issues, or?
Yeah, so we have a 5-issue run for this. So
okay,
it's tightly packed, and as Joe said, very dense. And it's like,
yeah,
it is a very dense first issue.
Yeah,
but that can all change if people order more copies. We can make it so it's so profitable they can't not make more. Just saying.
That is true. It doesn't have to only be 5 issues, but right now it's currently 5 issues.
We could also just barrage Nick with emails. I can get a campaign going to harass the shit out of him.
One of the first things we can do is to get issue 1, which is available now, to sell out at the distributor level. So
yeah,
and there's a lot of covers there because Dynamite loves their variant covers. Did they kind of like pressure y'all to get Sean to do a variant cover?
Well, no, there's not any pressure. Sean is exclusive with DC, so Well,
Oh, couldn't do it
always
anyway.
one to ask, but he wasn't available.
No,
There's
there's no
they had a
pressure.
Brett
Never-
Booth, though, so
I don't think they would have said no if we could.
No, I doubt they would have said no. But
But
we'll see that whenever his contract is up next, maybe we can slide that in there. Who knows?
Well,
Um,
were you involved in some of the variant cover selections, like with the artists and stuff?
Yeah, I would say not as much for issue 1, right, Joe? Because like several of the variant covers I think had already been chosen.
well, we got we had talked we locked in Sue Lee early on
that's great.
for all the covers, but I mean that was early on in the process, and that was someone that you wanted on the
Yeah.
book anyway.
Sue and is there anyone I'm not like? Is anyone a surprise? Should I not say any?
For like the last issue, but like I mean for the first 3 are certainly all. So like Merca's cover.
Okay, that's the name I wasn't sure if I could say. Yeah, so
Yeah,
Merca
so
also was very exciting and someone that I've become friends with, and I love that she's doing a couple covers for us.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
You big fan of her work?
I am.
I adored Sweet Paprika.
I
Like,
do too.
Mhm.
that book
Like a romance comic that I love.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I was thinking today, I was like, there's not many romance comics. I was like, I just read 12 issues of one, Sweet Paprika. Like, I
Yeah.
really like that book. And I couldn't believe, and this is just because, I actually thought to myself earlier, Robbie, you don't really like romances or anything. And you like romantic comedies, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was sitting here and I was wondering, I was like, well, I want to ask her what her favorite rom-coms are, but I got to have at least one to mention too. And then I came up with a list of 13. I couldn't believe it. Apparently I love rom-coms too. What are your favorites?
13. I'm impressed, Robbie.
Half of them are John Cusack movies. So don't be too impressed.
That is okay. I love some John Cusack. I'm like a big Reese Witherspoon fan. I love Legally Blonde. I would say like While You Were Sleeping is one of my favorites. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, that's
I recently saw that one. My daughter, I will say, made me watch it. I wanted to watch something with her anyway, and I loved it. I actually had a blast.
Well,
I couldn't.
isn't that based on Taming of the Shrew or something?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too well versed in rom-coms overall. I've seen a bunch, but I actually saw You Got Mail in theaters.
Oh, I love You Got Mail. I love it. Doesn't make a lot of sense in this day and age, but I love it.
I saw You've Got Mail in theaters, Joe. We're sounding like the old guys now, man.
Yeah, don't take my job, man.
So wait, what are your 13?
I was really surprised when I came up with my list, and now it's actually 14 because I forgot about 10 Things I Hate About You. That's a really good movie.
Yeah,
but I just real quick, since OUG wants to know, Chasing Amy, Say Anything, High Fidelity, which is my favorite. I love High Fidelity. It's more of a music movie, I think, but it's about relationships, right? So I think it's there. Serendipity.
Oh my God, I love Serendipity.
That's a great movie.
Love that movie.
A movie I think is forgotten is Kissing a Fool with David Schwimmer and Jason Lee from back in the 90s. I don't know why. I love that movie so much. When Harry Met Sally.
Was that the one where they were in Chicago?
I don't know if they were in Chicago. Like, okay, so Jason Lee's like a skateboarding guy. Big stretch there, I know. I think it's one of his first acting roles after Mallrats, right?
Sure.
And him and David Schwimmer are like into the same woman. I almost want to say it's Carrie Wurr, actually. Or Kari Wurr, I think. I don't know. Anyway. When Harry Met Sally is amazing.
Classic.
It Happened One Night. That's a classic, right? The Apartment to me is a classic. Hairspray. I was thinking about it. I was like, Hairspray is a romantic comedy.
Little musical action in there.
Whether it's the musical or the John Waters original, I love the musical so freaking much. Then I got Wedding Singer, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and I'm a big fan of She's All That and Down to You. Like I really do like Down to You.
I forgot about She's All That.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Rachel Lee Cook. So yeah, good stuff there. Brian, you got any favorite rom-coms you want to add in?
I mean, I might. It's hard for me to think. I mean, a lot of those are really good ones, but I mean, I'll just go with the recent one that I really enjoyed. That 10 Things I Hate About You. Like I
It's
had
so
a blast
good.
watching that movie.
Yeah.
It was
And
really good.
I have to say, like the to all the boys I've ever loved is kind of one of the newer ones on Netflix. Like newer, it's a few years old now. The Kissing Booth, like Netflix had like a chunk of rom-coms that they were making that were books. They were novels first, and like they're so good. They're worth checking out with your daughter if you want. She'll probably love them.
I'll have to grab some notes, get some names there.
I mean, she probably has already seen them, if I'm being honest. But
she probably has. Yeah.
Katana, do you got more comic book work that you want to do outside of Cherish and the Harley Quinn book and other things?
Yeah, I do. I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about. I have anything.
Okay. So there's more on the horizon.
There is more on the horizon. Like, I'm not even sure. The thing that I did with Dynamite before, I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about that. But
yeah, you could just leave it at that, I think, and that's fine.
Okay.
No, tell us everything right now, live on the air.
That's on the horizon. You haven't seen the last of me.
Let's undercut whatever exclusive announcement that they have set up. Right? Let's just do that, right?
It's not good, right? Like, I don't really understand the nuances yet of this world and like the announcements, and like there's usually a whole plan, and usually I blow that plan every time I come on one of these things because I'm just like, this is what I'm doing.
You're like the Tom Holland of comic book creators right now.
Oh my God. I'll take that comparison any day. I wish I could dance like him in heels. Did you see that video?
When you did Umbrella?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so funny. I
I'd pay
probably
for
watched that 30 times after the first time I saw that.
I was living in Iowa in 2007, and that song was very popular in like every other drag queen did an act to that song at the time.
Yeah.
I can imagine that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, his performance was incredible. It blew me away. I was like, I can't even like walk in heels anymore. I used to be able to when I was younger. I don't know what happened to me. Now I can't even walk a block in them.
Right. Well, before Katana has to dip out of here, is there anything else you want to add, Brian, or ask?
Well, is there going to maybe possibility of even more in the White Knight world there, or?
Yes, that is a possibility.
Okay.
I don't think she's allowed to say it.
I said possibility. I didn't say please confirm that you are creating a new thing in the White Knight world.
It is a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we don't want to mess with DC, right? We can play around with Dynamite's announcements. We don't want to get on the bad side of DC right now. Okay.
Fair enough. Well, I guess one other question is, I also listened to your interview with Joe and Perch, and you were talking about there's like romance novel conventions, and they're kind of flipped, and things. Have you had a chance to go to a comic convention as a guest, or?
Yeah, so I had I guess finally, well, we went to New York Comic Con last year, and it was like, it was, I think they had limited the tickets, and it was vaccine only. And then we went this past year again, and it was much busier. Like, I think they lifted, right? Didn't they lift the vaccine requirement this year?
They they had a separate requirement thing, but it was a lot different. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like I didn't have to show my Vax card this year. But this year was like shoulder to shoulder packed. It felt like old days of comic conventions. So really, like I've had a couple of experiences finally. It was such an odd thing to have my first big book come out during a pandemic, when like Sean kept telling me, like it's such an experience, like going and meeting the people who've read your book and love your book, like, and I didn't get that for such a long time. It felt like, and it gets so insular when you're just in, as we all know, during the pandemic, right? Like it became such a, like, you're in your chamber, your echo chamber for too long. So yeah, it was really great. We met some amazing people. And some readers from Australia came by, and they were the coolest because she works at a koala sanctuary. And I was like, you have the best job ever. You get to hug koalas all day. Like, I don't care that they carry chlamydia or whatever. Don't they? Don't they carry chlamydia or like syphilis or something?
I don't know.
I'm sure they do.
That sounds like a brand. Chlamydia koala. Like that sounds like a brand we need to have out there.
Maybe I'm.
That sounds like one of the drag queens I saw.
I'll feel really bad if I just like made up that fact, like that it's actually not true at all. I just gave koalas a really bad name.
I think it's impossible to give koalas a bad name. Come on, they're the cutest, right?
There was this cartoon in the 80s that I watched as a kid with like these magical koalas, and there was like the redhead girl, and this is a thing. I recently watched like the first episode again on like YouTube. I think it was like an anime that got translated back in like the late 80s or early 90s.
It sounds very familiar, and it's going to bug me. Do you remember Popples? Does anyone remember the cartoon Popples?
The name is very familiar.
It was like these colorful creatures that had like kind of like marsupial pouches that they would
love Popples. You could pop them out of their little thing, right? Oh my goodness. And you could fold them up into like a little pouch or something. Oh my God. I've been waiting my whole life to remember these. Like I used to tell people, I was like, there were these stuffed animals and you could like fold them up. Nobody remembered. They're like, you're thinking of the Wuzzles. I was like, bruh, I know the Wuzzles. It's not the Wuzzles.
Yeah.
Goodness.
And
no, that is different.
I can't remember if it was a cartoon TV show or just a cartoon movie, but I remember I watched that thing on repeat.
Yeah.
My God.
Watch it, rewind it, watch it again.
Speaking of cartoon movies, I rewatched one of the Pound Puppies animated movies not that long ago. And while it was a fun time, I was kind of disappointed that no one accidentally said that they were going to take someone to Pound Town.
Oh.
You're just on the edge of your seat waiting.
Epic.
I have very vivid memories of Pound Puppies because in 1987, when I'm the oldest child, a lot of people that know me can understand that. But I'm the first kid, the firstborn, and then my sister was born in 87. And I remember being so proud to be like a big brother. But I was in the waiting room and I was watching Pound Puppies when my stepdad came in to tell me that my sister was born, right? And so I always remember Pound Puppies because of my sister Debbie.
That's sweet.
So, Station Debbie up there. Hell yeah.
Do you guys remember Fluffy Puppies? It was like, do you remember the Fluffy Puppies? Or is this a fever dream that I'm making up? Does anyone out there remember Fluffy Puppies? Because I feel like they were like created to be like Pound Puppies, but they weren't. Like the Kmart version of Pound Puppies.
I just googled Fluffy Puppies, and I just got pictures of like literal fluffy puppies.
No.
It's Fluffy. Fluppy.
Oh, PP.
So you do remember, Joe?
Yeah, I looked it up right now, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I remember those like multicolored puppies.
It says 1986 is when it debuted in a 1-hour animated special on Thanksgiving, so we're nearing an anniversary. Maybe we should all get together
and
talk about Fluffy Puppies.
We'll do like a recorded rewatch of the Fluffy Puppies on Thanksgiving Day.
We'll do a commentary of the Thanksgiving Fluffy Puppy.
Was it only that one cartoon? Was it nothing else in the world? And I just remember this bizarre cartoon.
Now I gotta look.
It's not impossible, but I remember the cartoon I was thinking of too. It's the Noozles.
Noozles, yes.
And it was this magical like koala bear in like blue overalls with like a smaller pink koala bear in like a dress. And
oh my God, I feel like I had the stuffed animals of those.
Yeah.
I'm having like a weird existential crisis. Like you think you remember so much of your childhood, and then you hear the word noozle, and you're like, I forgot everything. Like,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God.
I feel like the first time someone reminded me of the Snorks, and then I just had this flashback, and I was just like, I was in a room, and there was wood paneling everywhere, and it was on TV.
So good.
So much to see waiting under
I
the
think
sea.
the lesson learned here is, God, I watched too much TV as a child. Like,
Maybe we did,
just
but
wanna
you
be
know,
like,
I think we're all doing fine. I think we're all doing fine. Well, I know you got to get out of
God
here
help
soon.
me if I had had an iPad back then. My parents never would have been able to get that out of my
If
hands.
we would have had streaming back then, it would have been so much easier. You know what I'm saying? We'd be like, I would like have to get home and sit down to be at my TV at 2:30 to watch Superpowers Galactic Guardians. You know what I'm saying? I had to like make sure you were there. You know, that's not the case anymore, which is great.
Yeah.
So we know you're busy and you got other things to do.
Well, I'm sure anyone who follows me on Instagram saw that my little pupper had some surgery recently. So
Aw.
you gotta go take care of him.
Oh, absolutely. So everybody check out Cherish.
Yes.
Joe's gonna stay here with us for a little bit to talk about this, but I do have a question to ask you before you leave.
Yeah.
What is the secret to sauerkraut cupcakes?
Oh God. Nothing. They're terrible. Where did we talk about that on the show with Perch and Joe?
I found your YouTube channel and I watched a video of you and your husband Sean doing these sauerkraut
God.
cupcakes, and you were trying them out. It just looked terrible.
They're terrible.
You were saying that like in Germany they sometimes use them for German chocolate cake, which is my favorite cake, is German chocolate cake. But I
Okay,
can't
so
imagine sauerkraut cupcakes being good.
I will say, I think that if you are going to use it, you need to chop them up finer. Like, we didn't chop them up, so they were just like pulling these like strings out of our chocolate cake. It was horrible. And I will say, like, it doesn't taste like sauerkraut. It's like all that like pickled flavoring like goes away, like bakes out of it or something.
Okay.
But it's just like a texture. It was just like, why? You're ruining like a great cupcake by putting sauerkraut in it. Like, it's just, there's no purpose to it. Yeah, I would never do it again. I feel like for people who are allergic to coconut, again, if you're trying to get like that coconut texture,
Ooh, okay.
you can cut them enough like so that it has that coconut texture. But again, I'm just like, just use freaking coconut. Like, if you can, just do that. It's way better. I don't know. It was not good.
Yeah. And in like a German chocolate cake, they put that texture in like the frosting and the icing, right? Not in the cake, right? So this is put in the cake.
Exactly. And I wonder, I mean, maybe we should try it again. I don't think we should try it again, but maybe we should try it again where it goes in the icing, not in the cake. Because like I said, it was like flossing our teeth with sauerkraut. It was horrible.
There was one moment in that video where Sean pulls this whole strand out of the cupcake and just like it's like a spaghetti noodle.
It was real gross. It was real gross. I went through a phase during the pandemic, and I blame TikTok because, you know, as we should. But I blame TikTok because I went through this phase of like trying weird food pairings. And so like I attempted the pickles and peanut butter and like, what was it? Like bacon, peanut butter and jelly. And the one that I actually thought was pretty good, and everyone in my house thinks I'm crazy, is yellow mustard on Oreos.
I got a friend who used to do that back in like first grade.
It's not good. It's
Okay.
actually, dare I say, good.
Mustard on Oreos. Gonna report on that on Rockin' Robbie Live on Saturday or Sunday night.
So it has to be yellow mustard. Like, don't go for like fancy whatever. Like, just plain old like yellow mustard.
My
And
favorite
like, you don't want to go like don't like smear it, but like a little dollop on the Oreo. It kind of takes on like a balsamic, like it takes down the sweetness of the Oreo. I don't know. I'm just saying, I liked it. Sean thinks I'm crazy. He was like, "This is the pandemic has you've gone crazy. Like, I don't TikTok pandemic. You lost your mind because this is foul."
In the sauerkraut,
That sounds a lot better than the sauerkraut in the cake.
in the sauerkraut cupcakes video, Sean's drinking from a Star Trek mug. Who's the Star Trek fan? You or him?
Him.
Okay.
I will say I've grown to appreciate it. There are certain series that I like better than others.
Does he make you watch Star Trek? Because that would be lame. Does he like be like, no, watch DS9, this one episode? You're like, does he try to force fandoms on you? Is that something that y'all deal with?
Well, I mean, we both do, right? Like I was a huge Gilmore Girls fan. And so it was like, no, what we're watching tonight is Gilmore Girls. Like if you don't like it, you can go in the other room.
That's one of the best written shows of its time. I'll be
It's
honest.
my daughter's favorite show.
It is so good. If you also like ever listen to their kind of commentaries on it, like talk about dense scripts. Like they would say the script was like, what, 10 extra pages per episode because it's like everything was so fast and quickly. So yeah, like I think Sean and I both have an appreciation for each other's loves, and he grew to really appreciate and like Gilmore Girls. And in the same token, like when he would put on Star Trek, I would be like, yeah, I kind of get it. Like I like some of the series better than others. I'm actually a pretty big Voyager fan. I'm a big fan.
I was gonna call it. You like Janeway. You like coffee. I get it.
Yes.
Hey, the first 3 seasons of that are really good. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Solid show.
I get it.
And like, I really like 7 of 9. I think that dynamic between her and the Doctor was pretty awesome. I was kind of upset that she and the Doctor didn't get shipped, that they didn't end up together. I was like, wait, she's with who at the end of this?
You know, with her technological capabilities and him being a hologram, they could probably have made that work, to be honest.
I feel like it should. Anyway, I have very strong feelings about the pairings that happened in the end. But, and I would say maybe the episode that he won me over with Star Trek was Data tap dancing. Do you remember that episode in The Next Generation? They were like, yeah. Anyway, there's a whole number with like Data tap dances, and it's pretty incredible. And I think Mix McFadden is actually a tap dancer. I think she was really dancing in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it's a really great episode if you haven't seen that one.
So our friend, officially unofficial geek, Carrie, is like she's a huge fan of yours. She wants to know, are you a Whovian?
So my answer to this is going to answer your question, but is that Doctor Who? I've never seen it. And I think it's not because I think I would love it. I feel like I don't even know where to start. It's like there's so much of it that like
talk to Joe, apparently.
Talk to me. I'll tell you.
Janeway, I see the comment. Janeway is my captain. Yes, I agree. My captain.
But we'll talk. I'll ask you some questions because I have to understand kind of where you're coming from and what you want out of the show, and we can.
I don't even know if I can answer that, right? Like I think I would really enjoy it. It's daunting because there's been like so many seasons and series of it that so I would like to start watching, but I don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
I think
I'll help you. We'll figure it out.
Well, one episode I think that's good for starting for Doctor Who is it Blink? It's that first one with the Weeping Angels. May not be called
Blink's a good one.
Yeah,
Blink's a good episode, but I don't know if that's a good first episode.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to let Joe and Katana work this out amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, she's not a Whovian. I'm sorry, OG, but she is open to being a Whovian.
I'm very open to it. I also, the other show that Sean introduced me to that I never would have thought I would have liked. Like I think it took both of us like way off guard. Futurama.
Oh, that's a good show.
Love Futurama.
I love that so much, especially those like first 4 seasons before it went on hiatus and came back.
So
but
the episode, one of the first, I can't remember if it was the first or just one of the first episodes he showed me was Jurassic Park. And have either of you seen it?
Yeah. I hadn't seen that one.
Yes.
Oh
you had a life before me?
Even talking about it is going to make me like tear up because I, as we all know, probably, I am a huge animal lover. I am like obsessed with all animals. I prefer animals to most humans. And
I agree with that.
And this episode of Futurama is like all about Fry's dog from the past. And he has the chance to like get his dog back, but then he realizes his dog lived this long. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but the episode ended and I was like, I can't even call it sobbing because there was no noise coming from my face hole. I was just like leaking water, and like soaking my shirt with tears, and just like these silent tears streaming down my face. And I was just like I can't.
Silent tears are the most real tears.
Right?
I'll tell you that. Okay.
What do we want? Fry's dog. When do we want it? Fry's dog.
It's so good. And that episode, as much as I hate it, I also love it. And like,
Yeah.
And I think because I don't cry a lot. Like I'm not a big crier in my life. And so Sean was pretty fascinated to see me cry like that over a show. And he'll like put it on every now and then just to like see and I cry every time. I've seen it a dozen times and I can't help but cry.
I remember one time I was really into the show House for a while back in the day.
House, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like telling my homies that I live with these two dudes, and I'm telling them, you got to watch House with me. And it happens to be like one of the most fucking gut-wrenching episodes, right? And all three of us grown-ass men are crying in this fucking movie. I'm like, they're not all like this, bro. Trust me.
Did they keep watching after that, or were they done?
I know one of them did. I don't know about the other one, but the other one kind of, he was a little bit more wild, so he probably didn't have the time to check it out. But Katana, thank you so much for joining us. I love your work. You turned me into a Harley Quinn fan. Excited for more. Cherish is out right now. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, your website, your books? What's going on?
Yeah, there's Cherish. You should wait. Which way is there? There's Cherish. And you can find me on Instagram and TikTok, although I don't really know what I'm doing on TikTok. Like I said, I'm more of just, I ingest things on TikTok, but I'm there at Katana Collins. Katana is spelled like a sword. Collins is spelled like the Irish girl I am. And yeah, I have a website, katanacollins.com. It's all up there. You can get the links to Cherish, but also obviously go to your local comic shop and grab one or all of those awesome variant covers.
Yes, absolutely. And if you haven't read Batman White Knight Presents Harley Quinn, you need to, because it's fucking awesome. It's really good. Great artwork by Matteo Scalera, who just killed it on his Mr. Freeze special for Batman. Yeah. And check out Cherish to support our friends here, Katana and Joe. Y'all all know Joe. You want more of this stuff, right? Let's let Nick Barucci. Let's overpower this guy. This guy has so much power in this comic book industry. Let's overpower him. PCP Army. Let's get Cherish going for 45 issues at least.
Oh my God.
I want 10 Mark Silvestri variant covers in that run, okay?
So with the fact that I haven't seen Doctor Who sway you from buying it, I promise if we sell out, I'll go watch Doctor Who like live with you guys. To be honest, most people that were into Doctor Who 10 years ago don't even care about it anymore. Okay. So it's okay. It's okay. But check out her other work. She's got tons of books. She's prolific. She's a best-selling author. Y'all, you need to check it out. OUG, I know you're into it. So Katana, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. You're busy. Guys. We're going to let you get back to everything and tell Sean we said what's up. I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I don't know how to leave this thing. How do I leave? Hold on. Stop cam. Is that what I do?
X in the bottom.
Well, no, stop cam's not it. But
a red button in the middle. Leave studio.
There it is.
At the bottom. Bob.
That's it. Cool as ever, right? Cool as ever. Oh my God.
All right. Joe, what's up, man?
Oh, not much. I was just doing this interview on, the Pop Culture Philosophers talking about Cherish.
That was fun. I know she was like, I got 30, 40 minutes and we went 55 with her. So I appreciate her kindness and her patience with us. Because you know how
that was great.
You know how tell us a little bit more about this book and why everybody should read it, Joe.
Well, honestly, really though, with the her sort of romance and risque kind of background in her different novels, I thought would really pair well with this like femme fatale kind of vigilante character. And I think it's really working well. The second issue also is out December 14th. So again, for people with that, and we really it just keeps going from immediately where it left off. You find out more about just everything going on with like Unicon. Like every issue, we really made it a point to have a thing happen, like a big thing. There aren't really big things in it that, other than the overarching story, that we keep dragging out. Like we have some big revelation. I think we kill people every issue.
Oh, that's a bonus.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure every issue we kill someone. So yeah, like stuff like that.
That's a great pitch. They should put that in the previews, man. Like in this issue, someone dies. They used to sell comics that way. Like in this issue, someone will die. They do that on TV shows. They still do that shit, don't they? I don't care what y'all say. Katana's right. Gilmore Girls is an amazing show. Like I used to have to watch Gilmore Girls because it came on before Angel. So I would like tune in to CW or whatever 15 minutes before it was time. And I'd watch the last like few minutes of it. And I was like, this show's dialogue's really good. So I started like going earlier and earlier when I would check in. I'd be like, oh, I'm just checking in with Angel an hour earlier. Hold on a second, guys. Don't worry about me. And I'd be watching Gilmore Girls and I got riveted into it, man. I was like addicted to that show for a while.
Well, my daughter, it's my daughter's favorite show. And it's brought her a lot of music. So it just sounds like there's a lot of really good music choices in that show too. So I have been meaning to check it out. I just know it's kind of daunting when I don't know how many episodes there are, but it's kind of hard to start a long running show,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good comic.
I was just wondering how long it was going to take for someone to say something. I thought,
we didn't talk about the colors from it, but I thought the colors were amazing. They just popped out like crazy like that.
Oh yeah,
I love that panel.
He did a fantastic job. That was Joseph over at Dynamite recommended him. He had been working with him, and Omi does a great job, and so does Taylor Esposito. Doing the lettering. I know I've worked with him before. He's always been great, and I knew he does a decent amount of books over at Dynamite, so he was the first person I asked, and he said yeah. So.
Nice. How is it working with Dynamite, Joe?
It's been really interesting. I feel like more like I kind of feel even more involved in some of like the nitty gritty and behind the scenes stuff through Dynamite than with a lot of other publishers. So that's been cool to see, like getting to sort of see more of the process has really been great. Everyone, responds very quickly. I've never really been left hanging on things. So yeah, it's really been a very positive experience.
That's nice. That's good to hear. It's really good to hear because you hear so many stories nowadays of publishers leaving people hanging, right? Mm-hmm. And to know that Dynamite's efficient in that aspect is pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
So Nick came to you and said, "I want you to put together this project," right?
Yeah. We were going over some things and some ideas and settled on this one, and it was like, okay, let's see what you can do. Let's see who you can get. To illustrate this, to write this, and put out this book. And
so in the credits, you're credited as edited by and packaged by.
Yes.
So is the idea of packaging it meaning that you put together the team, you made this whole book happen? Is that the idea?
Yeah. It's that, putting the team together and doing all, every aspect of it in terms of working on outlines, breakdowns, everything with Katana going through, doing passes on the script. Obviously Dynamite has overall final say. I can't just put anything together and they'll print it, but
especially now that they're getting that Disney money, right? Where they get Gargoyles. Dude, they sold 174,000 copies of Gargoyles #1.
It was something crazy like that. I think it might have been like gotten up to 179 even.
Wow. That's a big deal for Dynamite. So that's really cool. You have you pitched any Disney properties to Dynamite?
I actually haven't. I'm not opposed to it because I also grew up with the Disney afternoon stuff. I mean,
don't fuck with me because I already told Nick I got a few pitches for Chippendale's Rescue Rangers, so you better save that shit, okay?
I mean, I am if they ever do something with like gummy bears, I was all about the gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Yeah,
all that
that's a great song too.
Yeah, magic and mystery, a part of their history, along with the secret of gummy berry juice, all that stuff.
Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. Oh man, that shit's so good. With the success of Gargoyles, and I'm sure Darkwing Duck's going to follow right behind it. I'm sure that Nick's going to try to seek out more of this, right? And I think there could be some good stuff there. Cherish is a really cool book, though. I really like it, man. You put together a good team. What made you think of Katana? You mentioned that because of her background in romance or whatever, but you read White Knight. You're familiar with her. You're friends with her and her husband Sean, right? So just was like you. So she was one of those people. Was she like the first choice that you wanted?
Yeah, she was right up there top for me. Like I had, it was like, just about. There were, it was like, she was up there for me, and someone like Rachel Pollack was also up there for me. It would have been a different book. It would have been a much different approach, but while Rachel's always up there for me for things, she was already starting not to be feeling too great at the time, so it just wouldn't have been a good fit. So
I'm very excited to announce this. So I'm at my shop today. I get this box of random ass comics, and the owner of the shop's like, Robbie, take a look at these, price what we need, dollar the rest, right? And I look in there, and guess what's in there? The fucking Geek. And I'm like,
really?
And so I'm like, well, this is a dollar book going to me. And I was like, and then everybody's like, why are you so geeked out over this geek book, right? And I was like, it's Rachel fucking Pollack and Mike Allred. And I was showing everybody, we went page by page through it. Everybody's like, holy shit, this book looks awesome. So good. So, yeah, dude. I'm super excited. I got a copy now, bro.
Absolutely, yeah. It's such a good book.
Hell yeah. Have y'all finished up yet on the Never Ending Party? Like, what's going on with that? Where were we at on that?
Yeah. The last episode, the last issue of that is out now through Comixology, and it's going to be printed, I think, in the summer. This coming summer, it'll be out as a trade paperback.
Do you know where it's coming from? Is it Dark Horse or
Dark Horse? Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah, nice.
Cool.
Yeah, so Dark Horse already has the files and everything ready to go. So,
I was going to ask when they were when that was going to get printed, because I read that last issue. Man, that was a great finale there. I don't know.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just a fabulous book. I don't know, anybody watching hasn't read that. I mean, and you have Amazon Prime, right? Get on that.
It's free
it's right there.
Yeah, no, I'm really proud of that book.
What's crazy to me is most people are like, "Oh, I don't fuck with Comixology anymore." I'm like, "Do you got Amazon Prime?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You got Comixology.
Yeah,
you got access to this book right now. Like, you got Amazon. We all have Amazon Prime, especially this time of the year, because we're all trying to save money on shipping and all that stuff, right? By the way, if you want to find something on Amazon, just let me know. I'll send you a special link, and it will help support PCP. Anyway, what else you got coming out, Joe?
Well, I also have Dahlia in the Dark #1 coming out next month. The
Can't wait for that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, December 7th. Really looking forward to that being out.
Oh, a day that will live in infamy because of the release of Dahlia in the Dark.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's Vito Corleone's birthday. I just found that out because I rewatched Godfather 2 last night. And at a certain moment, they go in the flashbacks, right? Sonny goes, "Can you believe that they would attack those Japanese would attack our country on our father's birthday?" And I was like, "Oh, Vito Corleone's birthday is December 7th." I felt really good about knowing that little tidbit of information for Monday night's show.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of The Godfather, Joe?
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. You know, I've probably seen Goodfellas more.
Okay.
But, you know, I enjoy The Godfather quite a bit.
What's your favorite gangster movie?
Ooh. It might be Goodfellas, but like, I think right now on the spot, I'm going to say Goodfellas. I'll keep thinking about it, but
okay.
But yeah.
You ever thought about doing a gangster book yourself?
I've thought about it. You know, at some point.
in the Dark kind of has some of that, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that in there. Yeah, absolutely.
So Dahlia in the Dark coming out from, is that Mad Cave?
Yes, that's Mad Cave. It's going to be 6 issues. And, you know, really looking forward to people checking that one out. I'm really happy with how it came out.
Nice.
And the week after that, Happy Horror Days, I have a story in that through Archie.
Oh, nice. So they liked your work before, Joe, is what you're saying.
Seems that way. So,
well, that's super cool, man. Before we wrap up out of here, Brian, you got anything else you want to add or ask Joe here?
Well, speaking of gangster movies, have either of you seen State of Grace?
I don't think I have.
I recommend, like, it for a while. It was definitely my favorite gangster movie. I'm not sure if it's my overall favorite, but it's Sean Penn, John Turturro, Gary Oldman, Ed Harris, and it's about like the Irish gangs and how they're getting squeezed out by the the Italians or something. I don't know, but Sean Penn is like, he ran with them when they were kids, and then he like comes back, and man, I don't know. It's definitely one of the best gangster movies. I highly recommend that one.
OUG like Oscar. I remember Oscar. I don't know if I like it. I have to rewatch it. It's been a long time.
I don't remember that one.
It's with Sylvester Stallone.
I've seen Oscar. That's such a weird movie. I get it, but I was jokingly also going to say Bugsy Malone.
Okay. I can dig on that one too, man.
It's a fun movie, but
hell yeah. All right, everybody. Cherish is out in shops right now. Issue 1. Issue 2 comes out December 14th.
Yep.
And Dahlia in the Dark is on December 7th, the week before. So it's very convenient in December because every Wednesday, every new comic book day, unless you're DC, is a multiple of 7. So it's easy to remember these dates. The 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th, right? So you can get them right now, man. Joe, how are you proud of your work on Cherish? You put together a hell of a team here, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Joe. You don't have to be proud of yourself. That comes across as like pretentious, right? That comes across, not so good. I'm proud of you, Joe. Since we met, and you were doing She Said Destroy, you had some other books coming out, but your work has gotten more solid. It's gotten more refined. It's gotten more nuanced. It's gotten better, whether you're editing, whether you're packaging, or whether you're writing it, Joe. So, and your work as a commentator and a panelist here on PCP is top notch, bar none. In fact, when you're on a movie night, people they're like, "Is Joe on? Can I be on it?" Everybody wants to be on the movie nights you're on. So I just got to let everybody know that you're down for Surf Ninjas, and maybe we can fill up that panel, right?
We better. I
said I would do that.
You're the only one aside from Brian who was like, and Brian only said it because I was like, Brian, I can't get anybody to fucking commit to Surf Ninjas.
I want to help you out any way I can, man. I'm here.
But that was the first one. Joe was like, Surf Ninjas. I want to do that.
Well, speaking of that, I did see Lady Battle Cop, by the way, recently.
Nice. What'd you think?
I loved it, man. I had a great time watching it. My wife and I were on vacation, and it was just me and her, and she fell asleep, and I'm like, he said that thing was on YouTube, so I just pulled it up there, and it's the house that we were staying in is an Airbnb, and they don't sign out of their accounts. So like the next time I pulled up YouTube on their TV, the first thing that showed up was Lady Battle Cop. And I was just thinking, what are these people going to think the next time they pull up their YouTube and it's just Lady Battle Cop there? Because I lost it when she first showed up and she had earrings, like the robot suit had earrings dangling down from the thing. I was like, that was I don't know. It was good though.
We always have these great conversations, and I know we only had a limited time with Katana, but I really wanted to get her to sell me on the most intriguing series she's done, which is a novel series called Soul Stripper. And I was like, I think I've dated a soul stripper. I want to know more about this. So I may have to check that book out, man. Have you ever read any of her novels, Joe?
I have not read her prose. No, I should at some point, but yes.
Yeah. Man. Were you just that impressed with the Harley Quinn book?
Well, it was the Harley Quinn book, her other stuff there. I just haven't gotten to know her, have conversations with her. We've talked about her other work and her background and romance and all that, but yeah, because there's also because it was the Harley Quinn, there was like the Harley Quinn Black, White, and Red.
I really like that one. That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah, Rob Schneider was in Surf Ninjas. He may have been in that movie as well. Figure drawing, he may have been.
Yeah, very early Rob Schneider.
Yeah, what was the first time you met her on the show with Perch?
That was that might have been the first time I talked to her, because I met her in person at Emerald City in about a year ago. I met her at New York Comic Con in 2021, and then I met her again. Like we saw each other again in Emerald City, because that was after. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But like when they were in town, like we got dinner stuff, got to do all that. So yeah, and then I've met her a few times since then.
Hell yeah. Well, that's super cool, man. I'm super happy for you guys. Cherish is awesome. It's out right now from Dynamite Comics. Dahlia in the Dark coming up very, very soon. You still have an opportunity to get Cherish #1. And if your comic shop says they can't get it, they're lying right now, and you get in touch with me. And we will hook you up with copies of Cherish, because we still got plenty, because we ordered heavy, because it's edited by Joe Corallo. And that's just, if Joe's involved at my shop, we order shit tons. That's just the way it goes. I'm sorry. That's just the way it goes. So if you ever need a Joe Corallo book, you let me know, and we will hook you up. So
thank you.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you, Joe, for the amazing work that you do on PCP, on Comics with Perch, and on your own as a professional editor and writer. You do amazing work, Joe. We love you so much, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Brian, any final thoughts?
No, just excited about all the stuff coming out, man. I don't know.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Any final thoughts, Joe?
Nothing, because the only thing I can think about right now is Cherish. So people should get that. You can not only go and get issue 1, you can get ready for issue 2 on December 14th. So
yep, 5 issues coming out. The first one's out and available already. If you like kick-ass, badass, sexy women vigilantes, this is the book for you. Basically, if you like Dynamite comics, this is the book for you. But even if you think the Dynamite's not quite for you, this is a good entry point into their universe, I think. There's a lot of books that are similar in just like idea to this, but it is distinct and unique in and of its own self. I really do think this book is really solid, and everybody needs to check out more. What was that, Brian?
Well, I was just going to say, like we were saying earlier, it's dense too. Like, I mean, it's, for an action comic and everything like that, there's a lot packed into this issue. And like you were saying, Joe, that's important. And it's hard to pull off, with what, 22 pages of real estate, that's kind of hard to do, but, and y'all pulled it off.
Yeah. It's dense, but not bogged down or stagnant in any kind of way.
I'm not saying it's 22 9-panel grids.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I love it. Anyway, my final thoughts are this. You need to read Cherish. You need to check it out. Tell them that Rockin' Robbie sent you. And join us Saturday night for Dylan's Horror Show, where we're talking about the latest movie in the Hellraiser series, Hellraiser. I know it's the same name as the first one. It's confusing, but it is fine. It's a good movie. I'm excited to talk about it. And then Monday night, we continue our look at the Godfather series with Godfather Part 2, which I just watched last night. And man, after watching shit like Kingdom of the Spiders and Eight-Legged Freaks, I am so goddamn excited to be watching these Godfather movies. Trust me. Anyway, Joe, thank you so much. Brian, thank you so much. Katana, thank you so much out there. And you out there in the PCP Army, commenting, checking out this video, thank you so much. Please do like, share, subscribe, and be sure to participate in the conversation. Let us know anything you want to know in the comments down below. We're dipping out. Station. Pop, pop.